Hello everyone, cheers, and welcome to a long video that's has been long overdue, but I wanted to make time nevertheless in these final days of 2021 to talk about Sunbird and how we made it, what's the thought behind it, etc., etc. I know I did a video like that for Pretender and people liked it. I'm going to do highlight some other stuff, etc. And well, we're gonna walk through it and see what's of interest, etc. or whatnot. First of all, I would like to, massively thank you everyone for supporting this release. Sunbird is a very personal song, as you can read from the lyrics. It's about that never-ending cycle you repeat. In a way, a never-ending cycle where every time when the sunbird burns itself, it kind of learns, but there's also the other aspect where where I'm addicted to life or no fear for, and there I kind of say like, well, sometimes that fear I forget, sometimes that things that I've learned I forget sometimes because of my enthusiasm towards towards some goal. And Jesus Christ, thanks for all the nice comments you've left behind, the support you've given this little release, which is a precursor to our new album. Also the nice comments on the music video, which I'll touch upon because for us, music videos are very much tied into telling the story. Yeah, thanks so much, I wanted to say. And first, I need to highlight two people that were critical in making this song, and that's the vocalist, and that is Polina Faustova, who is our cellist. And let me start with Polina over here. So you can follow her at Polina Musikerin at Instagram. She's a model as well as a great cellist. And let her hear you. Well, over here you can't hear her. I know she has some videos online of her playing cello. Yeah, I think it's here.
Нет, абсолютно всерьез. Ситуация help, ситуация сос. Я себя не пойму, ты откуда взялась? Почему на тебя повелась? Выключается свет, и куда-то лечу. Без тебя меня нет.
Yeah, and here she's playing plucks, but she's also, of course, very good at, well, the electric cello, etc. Yeah, she's great cellist. She immediately knew what I wanted to have out of it, and understood my needs for that. And therefore, thank you, Polina Faustova. And next up is Oliviya Nicole, who's currently expecting a new company. So they will be with 3, which is nice. And she also has a new single out, and I'll play that first because then you can hear her voice and you know why I picked her.
Breaks a little every time. I see pictures of you and realize how much I hate that this has to be this unfair reality when you're not here, when you should have been. Oh, you deserve better, you deserve more.
So yeah, you can follow her at Oliviya Nicole on Instagram. Definitely do that. Yeah, she's a singer-songwriter, born in Bulgaria, based in the UK now. And she has that warm, high-pitched voice in the track that I'm gonna let you hear right now. Let's start with the music video first of all and explain what we did over there. So I was telling about how personal this song was, and one critical thing that I always want to highlight is that our music videos always tend to be kind of in the direction of the story we want to tell, but maybe not so obviously. And so you see her dancing over here. That's kind of the thing that's central to the piece. When you're burning yourself out, you're doing so much effort, but you're not moving forward by any means. But you're doing so much effort, and that's what I wanted to highlight. And in this piece, I think the dancer Daniela Diaz really portrays that very well. Yeah. And again here, she's dancing, but she's not moving forward. Every time she's dancing in the video, actually she's standing still in a way, and you see the sun coming through and burning her up. Yeah. And you also hear Oliviya singing, of course, which is central to the sound of the song. A naive voice, high pitched but also warm. Sorry for that. And in this next section, you'll see Daniela Diaz doing some crazy moves. So yeah, I wanted a music video for this song to be very much surreal in a kind of way, but also relatable to the lyrics, etc. And that's why it's kind of an abstract dance performance executed to perfection by Daniela Diaz. Okay, enough of that already. So you can find it on Bandcamp. You can also find it on Spotify. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's up there. So, Sunbird.
I'm like a bird, an eagle. I can fly, feeling.
So go and check it out, and it will be on our new album in 2022, in a longer version even. Okay, so enough about that. Let's talk about the song itself and how I built it. Disclaimer first: I am someone that's not a professional mixing engineer, nor do I pretend to be. I just I'm going to share what I think that works for me, and I focus a lot more on songwriting and why I do these things or why I make these choices. But I'm not a professional at all in that sense. If you want professional advice, I work, for example, with a mixing engineer to help me out to get the sound from the demos that I make to polish them. And I think there's no shame in that because I am the songwriter. I pick all these pieces together and then I I basically say, look, I need help here. And I feel that it's not talked about enough, because some people can do both jobs, but I certainly can't. So I tried to let that go. And since I let that go and worked with Mitia Wexler, which is my mixing engineer, I truly feel relieved that I just can focus on the songwriting. Of course, I have mixing in my head, but I can focus more on songwriting for that matter. But if you want a deep dive in songwriting and mixing together, so the whole package, I would definitely say please check out the video by Helix. Helix inside the track Slip, where Tom Shear takes you through his entire roadmap of how he works inside his DAW for the track Slip with Helix. And boy, does he know what mixing should be. So great tip there. If you just want to know about mixing, check out this video. I will also link this video somewhere on top here. I don't know how this will eventually affect it on YouTube. So somewhere below or on top, the link will appear so you can check out this video. Excellent video about how to mix. I, on the other hand, will talk about my process of going through this song, which I already touched upon with the lyrics. The lyrics were central to me, and therefore I hired Oliviya to sing, but we'll touch upon that later as well. So here's my project. I'm using what DAW I'm using at the moment. Yeah, so it's thank you. So it introduces itself, which I think is very nice. FL Studio, still on version 11, and that's partly because I love these blocks. But I highly suggest really get rid of the blocks and use clips. Use clips as much as you want. But when I started making music a long time ago, like 20 years ago, it was all about blocks in FL Studio. People laugh about it, but it's actually a really easy way to make music. So let me demonstrate that. Here I have a drum section, and that was the first drum I made for the song. That's where I started. So everything is going to channel 1, you could say, and channel 1 directs to a bus that is called drums, as you can see. So I'll put the drums on, and then you can hear that clip or drum pattern. Well, so this is a very simple drum pattern. Actually, it started out like this. So it could have turned out like that, but no, I felt like, look, if I just remove the kicks on top there, you get that groove a bit more, that trip hop groove that I like. And then I have some variations like just the fill, the intro, and crucially some intermediate sections where I leave out some parts of the main drum. So it creates some breathing room in the song, because otherwise it would be too much, and maybe I can demonstrate that with the full song as well. Pom pom pom. Here we go. So you have the song.
Feel the freedom, I must give the impossible. In crash.
Yeah. So there, it's not so obvious, but the drums were held back, and then the drums kicked in with something extra. And that something extra are actually the redrums. I use a lot of samples and then try to manipulate them in kind of way. Mostly the manipulation is done by just a Renaissance EQ in this case, but I just cut off every low frequency because it sounds like this. But I don't need that low end. I only need that top end to kind of give that groove. And well, maybe let's play that in conjunction with. So if you go to here, you see, it kind of creates that lovely groove that I fell in love with. Yeah. And I'm actually very lazy because I think on redrum 1 and 1 2, yeah. So redrum 1 is sounds like this. Have to see where it kicks in. Of course, have to unmute the 11 channel. It's just that hit. It's just that hit that you hear of the hat, and it's the same with the redrum that I use in the chorus part. So in the ending, so you hear a lot of snares still coming through, even though that I cut them off again with Renaissance EQ. Because without it, if I bypass this, it would be like that. And that wouldn't sound well. But in the mix, even, well, not mixed on the level that I would want, you can hear it. The idea is there, so that it is more of like a ride, but like a soft ride from it's like a noisy ride. So yeah. Next up was the bass line, actually, and I started off with a simple idea, a simple bass loop idea, and therefore I need to pull up. Yep. Okay, here we go. So it's not all that complicated, but it has some arpeggios going on and some melody. It's a very melodic bass line that I wanted to introduce because I thought it worked very well with the groove I had. So when we play that in conjunction again, here we have that. I'll play it. and it's the whole song that's the same. Same kind of yeah, like bass line that's going. Of course, a little breather over here, as you can see. But essentially, it's the whole song, and not in the break. There we cut it because otherwise it would be too boring. But it's really simplicity. It's like the whole song is the same. No, even no variations. Because the variations, they come from somewhere else, like from the drums that cut the re-drums that are slightly manipulated, and the drums that do different stuff, etc. So yeah. There's one other drum part, sorry, a bass part, but it's more kind of a texture and more kind of a overlaying bit, and that's the moog bass, which are really just the chords again. So I want to stress that this kind of bassline mode is absolutely normal, but it's not usual to find, I think, in the dance or EBM world. But yeah, like these two bass parts, they and especially this one is based around the chords a lot. And again, no breathing space whatsoever, but this one evolves quite a bit during the song. Because here in the chorus part, it actually shifts up, as you can see. So there's a lot of melody in it. Maybe we should just play it. And you hear the filter going open as well over here. And closed again. And that's key as well over here. Like, so here I leave the filter open, and it's just a simple drum kick, where indeed I did use the 4/4, and I left a lot of room there for the vocals and this bass line and the cello to shine, because after that, in the real song, I'll just let that play. So it's easier. I'm gonna mute those drum parts now because actually we don't need them anymore. Yeah.
Straight into the sun, through the clouds.
So yeah, you see very simple tricks that I do. At the very end chorus, I even just play the main bass line, while in the normal chorus, I do the one where it's kind of inverted, because actually it's just like this in normal one, but I just raised the lower notes, so I inverted them, you could say, and that gives for a higher effect, and that's what I use in the first two choruses, actually, to create that kind of effect, like to elevate the song up. And it's those kind of little stupid little details that really make a song feel different in a way. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So that's that. Then we have all kind of synths that mainly are there to support some stuff in the backgrounds, like the moog bell. You hear it? Those are just stabs. Same with the ARP. And again, all those notes are based on the chords and in the range where they are and fit. Nothing fancy going on at all. They are just there to highlight it all. The main crux of the thing is, or to get the song, because I wanted the song to be very melancholic in sound, because, well, even though the vocalist is kind of naive in sound, I wanted the backdrop music to be laid back, but also a hint of drama and melancholy. I'm a sucker for drama and melancholy in my songs. Most of that always comes true quite a lot. So yeah, what did I do for that? Well, I first resorted to the cello, because a cello is always like, it always adds drama. I love the cello, so started off with some cello parts. Let's see if I can go through them like this, like so you can see the notes actually. Okay, so it's a standard Nexus thing, and it's on 48, the insert. Okay, so we can yeah, so they start off really simple over here. And those are the main chords I used for the bass line, etc. And in the pre-chorus, I will already go a lot further, filling them up. And for the chorus, I just make it very simple, but also very high. But in the chorus, I tend to leave it very simple, and these are the augmented to add so much drama. Yeah, maybe I should play that solo, but in I wanted so much drama in the string section that I really just kept stacking notes until I had that orchestral feeling almost, which yeah. But again, the chords are the same, and they're all very simple. They're just stacked differently. Yeah. But this sound is, this was just a basic cello synth, sorry, from Nexus 2. It's not the greatest sounding one, so I opted to work with Polina. I kept this synth throughout the whole song, but it is kind of mixed in with real shallows, which you can see here. Let me run through them. Boom, boom, boom. That's the shallow. Okay. So shallow. And that's with the synth added now. But you'll hear the difference. So what Polina really did is give me I sent her the MIDI, and I sent her the score of this shallow parts, and so she played, like, I think it's 5 layers. Yes, 5 layers of shallow that really make it sound like there are multiple shallows playing, and underneath I still stacked that stupid sound from a library, cello section 1, and together they create a rich harmony. But I needed that human element, and that human element is, I think, the most important thing I find in songwriting, that you have kind of human element, a kind of human error, or a kind of human instrument that you can't replicate, because you can't just replicate the string she played, or you maybe you can with some libraries. I don't know. I never came across one that does it like a real instrument. So yeah, so I just said to Polina, like, could you play this? And she did. She did. Yeah, she did that wonderfully, I think. Because for me, and again, I stress this very much, I wanted it to sound very melancholic, and this is the melancholic sound of a cello, which the Nexus Rumpler couldn't provide me at all. So yeah, that's the cello. So that's that was 5 parts of a cello layer that most of the time completely play together, but sometimes sometimes soloed out. Okay. Last part are vocals, but they're very straightforward actually. Oliviya did a great job, and yeah, maybe I'll let them hear you. Let's see over here. Okay, the lead ones first.
Crashing, but in crash, I'm like a bird, an eagle. I can fly, feel invincible. Spread my wings, feel the freedom. I'm not scared of the impossible. Ain't crashing, but I never seem to learn. tone, but I never seem to learn. Straight into the sun, through the clouds, time and time. Sunbird, sunbird never learns. On the edge, every time. Songbird, songbird never learns. It's not my first time.
I could go on, but I think you get the idea why I chose her. It matches so perfectly with that melancholy, and that's so important to know what you're after, or what you want to have to look for. And I wanted to look for melancholy in here. And I needed a vocalist that was very high sounding, naive, but also very rich and warm, which is a difficult task. She also has a lot of air in her vocal, which I love. And that makes it so warm and so fitting in the mix and the track. So yeah. One last thing I think I want to talk about are the bells. There are, and this is why I recommend you to go and watch the Helix video of Tom Shear, because he's much more organized than I am. I here have to look for it, and it's not great. But yeah, the simple melody. Okay, here we go. So simple melody. I had this melody in mind for the song actually very early on, and I wanted, as I said, searching for a melancholic kind of sound. It was on piano first, so I came up with this with piano sounds, etc. And it only gets introduced in the song like almost at the end, before the break, and then at the end. But it always builds up. It builds up to that crescendo effect, that final effect. Because when I play it together with, for example, the cellos and the real ones, I'll turn them up again as well, the real ones. So we have that, and then
Sunbird never learns. Sunbird.
And you might say, because I turned it up over here, I turned it quite up over here. It's not that present in the mix. I know. I'm very much aware, but it didn't have to be, because it just added that little bit more. Because when you would go overboard with it and put it super loud in the mix, or in the song's presence, I think it gets lost. It gets too much attention, while it should be there in the background. In the background, just audible enough to create that hint again of melancholy, which I love a lot. Maybe let's hear it in full with the mastered version, and then you can hear it.
Sunbird never learns. On the edge, every time. Sunbird never learns. Sunbird never learns. Sunbird.
So yeah, that's about it. And what I wanted to talk about in the break is, yeah, everything kind of falls flat again, very deliberately, to create like moment of rest. And here the kicks actually do play that 4/4 still. And yeah, let's maybe get back to the music video, because that's kind of right up over here. We're here now. Now we're here. So here everything comes together at the end, and that I think is all I can talk about. So basically, I wanted to say, please keep the human element in your music, because I think that does a lot for songwriting in general. Sure, you can start out with rumplers, etc., and then you can have a cold sound as well, which works perfectly. But if you put a human element in there, like have a very cold song, and then on top put a very soulful human voice or a real instrument, then that contrast works very well. And that's what I tried to do a lot on my new album, but I always kind of had that in mind to do previous albums as well. But there I always worked with the vocals alone, or the vocalist alone, and now I introduced real instruments to emphasize that character of the songs, to create that human element, to create that human error. And that's all what I have to say about it. Would like to thank you very much for tuning in and listening to me talking about Sunbird. And well, like I've said, you can find it on Bandcamp, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. And thanks so much for everyone that played it. Yeah, and all the remixers, of course, that made awesome remixes of this song. That was that, and see you next time. Bye.